Welcome to the Cincy Postcast presented by Gold Star, your winning team off the pitch. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about our other friends over at Streetside Brewery. That's right, one of, if not the absolute best local breweries here in Cincinnati. Absolutely love them. They've been with us all season long, and we could not be happier to have such an awesome team with us. Streetside is a fantastic place. It's a lovely community brewery. They are doing some amazing beers over there. And one of the best things about Streetside are the events that they are doing. And on November 30th, they are bringing it back, the 7th annual holiday market. Look, you've been to some of these other holiday markets before, but I doubt they've been inside of a brewery. And what better place to have a beer or two while you're getting, your Christmas shopping started, okay? It's a good time. Swing on by. It's from 1 to 4 p.m. on the 30th. Find them over at 4003 Eastern Avenue over in the Columbia-Tusculum neighborhood of Cincinnati. It's a good time. Go check them out. Absolutely love our friends over at Streetside. And when you're there, drop the code ThePostCincy. They'll knock $1 off of your beer just for mentioning us to the bartender. So that's not a bad deal. So huge thank you to Streetside for sponsoring this and so many other episodes of the Postcast. And on today's episode, well, as you might imagine, there's not a ton to talk about, and yet we found some FC Cincinnati news to talk about. That's right. We have front office members up for end of year awards. What? We got more details on Kevin Denke. That's right. There are more details. What is this hobby of his? It's an interesting one. I think you'll like that one. And there is a little bit more there as well. And then we wrap it up in part 2 with some Patreon questions. There's some good ones, okay? Best and worst holiday comes to mind. What are we doing about Lucho? Okay, let's not forget that we're in the midst of a panic with this club. Put it all together. You have yourselves a lovely holiday kickoff episode of the Postcast. And joining me to talk about all of that and more, I'm joined for a moment by two gentlemen that are ready for Turkey Week, joined by the Chief, joined by Grayson. For a moment, Grayson, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm currently in Pagosa Springs, Colorado.
Which been there many times.
It's it's like Adams County with a mountain. But I will tell you, the mountain is nice.
Nice.
And so it's I'm pretty sure it's the only place in the country, maybe in the continent, that's like fully open for ski season. So spent a day on the slopes, and now I have until my wife gets back from the grocery store and I have to make dinner to record this podcast.
There you go. I've often said that, the only thing missing from Adams County is really a large mountain that you can ski on. So
it is a big mountain.
I'm always saying
people,
this.
Based on the yard signs, people are really feeling themselves.
I'm sure they can't stop talking about the Colorado Springs Switchbacks USL championship victory that happened this weekend. I'm sure that's what
I'm sure.
Yeah. That's the yard signs you were talking about, right?
Like that's the yard signs I was talking about.
Like Win State or whatever.
Well, we're happy to have you.
Yeah, definitely. This is an unexpected surprise. I thought Kevin and I were going to have to manufacture an entire episode of content by ourselves this evening.
Yeah, Chief. Not that we couldn't, to be clear, but
right.
It's good to always have a third here.
Yeah, it's less fun.
That's what I'm always saying at home, and no one listens to me.
Well, on that note, Grayson, we'll try to run through this as we sort of laid it out here. But if you hear the door open, feel free to just like speed run all of your takes on any and all FCC topics, and then immediately hang up, and that'll be very funny. But before we go any further, we've got to talk about this. FC Cincinnati made official the Kevin Denke signing. I always love this because we get the official pronunciation, and Denke is the way you pronounce it, but they also clarified that Kevin is pronounced Kevin. That was definitely
Right.
something
So
that they clarified.
It's written with an accent,
Of course.
but it's pronounced Kevin.
There aren't a whole lot of ways to interpret that name. The
if that's what-
VIN is boxing in there.
So
be
like,
like
if you have
Kevin.
the Kevin with the accent mark and it's pronounced Kevin, does that mean that all Kevin should have the accent mark over their E, and they're shortchanging themselves here a little bit?
No, I think his name is written in French, and Kevin Wallace's is written in English.
No.
I'm going to
But they're
start
both pronounced the
writing
same
mine
way.
in French then.
Yep.
Right. The Duolingo owl did not prepare me for this reality here.
It's like we and we, or sofa versus like la sofa.
Just exists to be confusing.
I love this as well because Carter has a great article up where he went a little further into the life of Kevin Denke's life. And second paragraph, we learn that in 2021, he enlisted the help of a chess grandmaster to teach him the game. Incredible.
You know,
Absolutely incredible.
What else is incredible about this is that I read this article about him being a chess master, and then all of a sudden my Facebook feed started to have more chess content as soon as he got signed. So
I also have been getting YouTube suggestions of like apparently some chess influencer that like she's like a young woman and she shows up to parks and stuff and like beats guys in chess, and I'm like, that seems mean. Like these, I haven't watched the videos, but it's just like, you know, like I beat this guy in 30 seconds or whatever is like the title of the video, and I'm like, these guys are just going around their day, like they probably like their wives are probably dead, right? Like their kids don't talk to them. And they go to the park and they play chess with the other old guys. And it's just like a nice little moment of community that they get in this ever atomized world. And then this lady shows up getting 6 million views being like, I ruined this guy's day.
You owe it to yourself to watch one of the videos, because while I love the picture you were painting, they're like talking smack the entire time and are like chess hustlers and are like being very mean.
Also, never forget the wildest plot point in the last season of Strange New Worlds, where like we learned that Captain Kirk is a chess hustler, and they make money when they get sent back to the past hustling games of chess.
That actually tracks from what little I know about Star Trek.
It's just like what? That's what we're gonna, of all the things you could do to make money, you're gonna hustle games of chess in Toronto. Whatever you do.
I mean, if you're gonna hustle games of chess, it's gonna be in Toronto.
I would think it would be Bangkok, wouldn't it? At least for one night.
This is your musical theater reference of the episode.
Coming from the most unexpected of sources here.
I mean, if you've got the right anal beads, I feel like anybody could become a chess master. So
you didn't read about that?
Oh, you're talking about that.
Grayson had this look like, what? And I was like, come on, man. You had to have seen that story.
So my head was still in Bangkok, and I'm like, Kevin, that's racist. Like you can't be saying that. What are you doing? But yeah, I do remember. I want to be clear. What Kevin said was perfectly fine.
Right.
Put in the appropriate context.
It's the best way. It's certainly It's not the best way to cheat at chess, but it's certainly a way to cheat at chess.
I don't know.
I don't think it was beads. I think it was like an egg, like a vibrating egg.
Sure.
Well, no, they offered the egg as an option. The guy was like, no, I'll take the full set of beads. I want to play this on hard mode.
The smaller, the better, probably.
We better make sure nobody can find it. Like,
in my head, that story and we've got weights and fish are always going to be forever linked. And I just, whenever I hear about the cheating in chess via vibrating sex toys,
I want Damon to get into the Denke press conference just to ask him what his thoughts were on this potential chess cheating scandal involving vibrating devices inside the anus.
I am a absolute garbage chess player. Are either of you any good? Have you dabbled?
I used to be passably bad when I was in high school and college, but I haven't played chess. I was thinking about this when he got signed. I haven't played a full game of chess probably in 20 years, 20 years. It's just not something I find myself doing that often or find myself with the opportunity. Although I would think that it's probably now easier than ever to play chess. I'm sure they have like apps where you can just like matchmake with people online with a
100%.
click. Yeah.
Chess.com is a very popular platform.
I know a lot of kids do it. I know it's popular with the youth.
I don't play chess. When I was growing up, I did have like a book of like chess like puzzles where it's like find the mate in 3 or get us to a stalemate or whatever. And I was really good at those that are just like kind of short bursts. I never had the patience to like learn any of the principles of build up and stuff. And I was actually talking to somebody a week before the Kevin Denke story dropped about how a lot of soccer players are big chess fans and how if you think about it, there are like kind of basic principles that translate, right? Because it's about like winning space.
Yeah.
And you do it through principles of build up that are designed to help you win space in, optimal ways. Right. So people have like their preferred ways of doing that. I think Christian Pulisic is like a big chess player. I feel like I've seen like a lot of soccer players talk about how much they like playing chess. And so like my experience with chess is much like many people's experience with soccer. Like no patience to learn anything about build up or principles of play or anything. But let's just clip the goal at the end, right? Yeah, right. Be like, oh, he should have done better there.
I love chess in that there are so like much like soccer, like my knowledge of tactics of soccer, alarmingly small. But like you talk to you see chess content or you see chess people and like, oh, she's going for the Rasputin defense or whatever. It's always like or it's like, oh, this is the Sergei Fedorov move. It's always some Soviet sounding thing that like they're talking about. And I'm like, the person just moved 2 pawns. I don't understand what you're looking at right here. Like,
yeah,
fine.
I feel like if they moved 2 pawns, it'd be against the rules.
Don't worry about it. It'll work.
Don't worry about it. It's chess. Like, I'm sorry you don't understand the rules.
They unlocked the secret move there. Yeah, no, I'm very
like
much
Miami
the same
this
way.
week unlocking the secret to winning an MLS by saying at a press conference, there are no budget restrictions.
Like, cut the feed.
I'm glad they finally admitted it. Just like, it's nice that like for the last year and a half, every MLS pundit has gone out of their way to explain that Miami is not breaking any rules. And then their owner just speaks and says, oh yeah, we have no restrictions.
Yeah. And the way I haven't like watched any, I haven't seen if any like MLS media or anybody in the league has like responded to that. I think the obvious spin is that like there are no financial restrictions as to, a DP that we bring in.
Right.
Right.
A
Yeah,
person,
ownership will
sure.
spend whatever it takes
Or
in
like-
order to.
Transfer fees for U22s and stuff. Like we're not, but he said what he said. And I am frankly tired of like being treated in all aspects of public life. Like we can't just take what the person said and understand like the kind of the obvious meaning of it.
No, he was
And
just
it has to, it has to be like massaged like 6 different ways afterwards. And that becomes like what the person really said.
no, it's what he was merely presenting a set of alternate facts as to how MLS salary structure could work.
A hypothetical future where there is nothing. Yeah, I don't know what the opposite of subtext is. Maybe it's supertext, but yeah, let's just acknowledge the supertext of
It's like, what if we played chess with all queens? Would that make it easier or harder to win the game of chess?
we need to ask Kevin Denke this question.
I would love to ask Kevin Denke, can he explain to me why the knight has such a fucked up move? Like why it moves in little L's? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I bet there is a map or sort of history of the pieces moving because the game is so old. Surely there have been patches over time, like some variant of it has the knight not doing that.
Right. But like, I want you to like somebody take me through the thought process of we're designing this game. And it's like, okay, we've got these pieces. All right. This piece can go forward and side to side. Like it can do that. This one goes diagonal. This one goes any direction. This one goes 2 up and 1 over. Well, why not 3? Well, because fuck you. That's why it doesn't go 3. Like it seems like it's from a different game, that they brought that piece over from another game we don't play and are like, hey, it would be a lot of fun if we could use the piece from, some other thing and we'll just put it on this board. And it's like, it turns out it was like a crossover and we all just sort of went with it because it was 1,000 years ago.
Yes.
It does. So my first thought was like, this has something to do with India.
Yeah.
And yeah, it says the knight has the oldest defined movement of any chess piece.
Oh,
it was first introduced in the Indian game of Chaturanga, which I thought was like a yoga pose. Maybe it's spelled
you were
differently.
doing a chess pose the whole time.
Around the 6th century. It's the yoga pose where you go two
spaces
up
and then one's up, right?
You go invade somebody else's yoga mat.
All the yoga mats are there. You jump over someone else's yoga mat and occupy a yoga mat 2 up and 1 over.
It has not changed since the 6th century.
I love that I was hypothesizing that was the one that got patched, but in fact, it's the only one that hasn't been patched.
It's the DOS prompt of chess. It's still there for some inexplicable reason.
I love ancient board games, by the way. That's like a thing that I do love. I wish I was better at chess. I love backgammon. I have played the royal game of with my children, which you should look up. It's, I believe, the oldest
look up
board
your
game.
Children?
I'm sorry?
Nothing.
Yeah, they're not fans of me, to be clear. It was fun for me. And yeah, no, there's a whole rich world there. But speaking of, there was an old app. I don't know if it still exists. It was called Chess. So it was chess, but with an SH at the end. And it was like a condensed version of chess. But every time you loaded the game, all of the pieces did random moves and you didn't know until you clicked on the piece. And then you had to move that piece. And you would play against other people that were also trying to learn that game of chess in real time. It was very funny. It was a very funny
chess
game.
Battleship, where you move your pieces, but you don't know where your opponent's pieces are.
That could be fun.
It's
All you get told is what took your piece.
Yeah, you just you find out if there is something there that you took.
Yeah, you don't know what you took, but it will tell you that like a queen took your pawn. You're like, okay,
right.
So there's a queen there.
It's out there somewhere. It's like every piece turns into a submarine, so it's like a thriller movie at the same time.
I
might be better at that version of chess because when I can see the pieces, I clearly don't know what's going on.
I always think of, so I remember like a common like TV and movie trope is like if a character is super smart, you show them like being really good at chess
Yes.
as kind of a heuristic for like, oh, this character is like incredibly intelligent, right?
But usually,
But
like
as
they're
you get
intelligent in a
older-
way that they don't understand like life and people, but like they really are like they're incredibly
Right.
smart.
But as you get older, you realize that like, no, like it's in many respects, not entirely, but in many respects, kind of like a dumb guy thing. To like get really, it's like an
Okay,
intellectual
Kevin.
pursuit. It's like an intellectual pursuit that like dumb guys like to get into. Like reading the Stoics.
Oh my gosh. Our poor guy Denke just
he's been
getting
here for-
roasted.
Yeah, Denke's been on this team for like 45 minutes, and he already called him a moron. Like, at least wait till he misses a run.
No, obviously, obviously not everybody who plays chess is dumb, but it is like a thing where it's like
Snipping that, by the way.
it is a thing where like if you are kind of like, I bet
It's something LeBron would do, because I think LeBron is always like obsessed with seeming smarter than he really is, which is
exactly. That's
he's
what
al-
I mean.
he's always pictured-
LeBron's not dumb, right? But he does want you to think that he's like a world historic genius,
Yes.
right? Versus like somebody who is, pretty smart
It's
and
what
talented in
a,
other ways.
it's what a dumb person thinks a smart person is. I think that's how I would interpret that.
Yeah, that like the dumb person thinks like, oh, smart people are really good at chess, so I'm going to play chess.
Right.
We're like
When in
shitting
fact,
all
smart
over
people-
chess players right now, and this is so much fun.
When in fact, smart people do Sudoku.
I would say smart
Lonely
people
people do Sudoku.
Smart people play Go. So there you go. Although
Smart people do crosswords really fast.
AI recently is getting better at Go. I think it beat the first person at Go a couple of years ago, but it hasn't reliably beaten the top Go players. So
Interesting.
hanging on to that one.
Like, dumb people think smart people play chess, but what smart people really play is Dungeons and Dragons, obviously.
Obviously.
Right. So, Kevin Denke, your move.
And
And bonus action.
He predicted this move. Don't worry.
All right. On that note, I have to go.
So we wasted all of Grayson's time talking about fucking chess.
Quick, I need Caitlin Clark and Jeff Lorenowitz takes.
Jeff Lorenowitz, congratulations to Jeff Lorenowitz for
Yes.
being nominated for MLS Next Pro Executive of the Year, which is funny one, it's definitely something I already knew about before today. And second of all, it's funny because I think he doesn't have like a formal role with the two team. And the line from the team has always been, or at least maybe he does like now, but the line for the team has always been that he had, taken on a lot of the duties and become kind of the de facto FCC2 GM, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny because it's just like another thing where it's like, is he the GM of FCC2 or is he not? I guess he is.
It's way
Schrodinger's
funnier
GM.
if he isn't, and that's why he's the executive of the year. He is GM. He's the
assistant
part-time
to the
GM,
Yep.
and he's kicking ass. Like, if somebody could do your job but part-time, as good or better than you, they're clearly better than you.
And before I go, a couple of other things real quick. I do want to mention that in Carter's article, I don't want to give up a lot of details from it. People should read it.
Yes.
I worry that it kind of hit like Father John Misty dropping an album the same day as Kendrick, and people might have fallen below people's radars. But in the report, he says, Denke has been linked publicly to Lille, Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester United, Borussia Dortmund, Chelsea, Bayer Leverkusen, Ajax, Aston Villa, AS Roma, and AC Milan.
I remember you were doubting me when I said that he was linked to Dortmund.
Fine. But as of today, The Athletic still hasn't appeared to assign 5 authors to debunk this. So it's true.
It absolutely is true. Although we mentioned Wolves before, and that does not appear to have made the incredibly long list here.
You win some, you lose some.
Almost like Wolves was intentionally omitted because there's a buy-in sell-on agreement handshake. I don't know. Oh, and then the other thing that I'm sure you guys will talk about in more detail. Caitlin Clark was announced Thursday, or confirmed, I guess, as an investor in the FC Cincinnati bid for NWSL expansion. And then I think Friday, they noted that Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Denver are the 3 finalists. It feels like it should be a done deal. If, because, you get Caitlin Clark involved with the league. Cleveland has land, but no stadium. Denver, I think, doesn't have any land at all for a stadium. So neither of those teams are coming in with their own stadium, and FC Cincinnati would be coming in with the best facilities in NWSL. There was, I think, in Sports Business Journal, a note that FC Cincinnati's expansion fee offer wasn't quite as high as the others.
Love that we're lowballing the league.
Well, we're lowballing the league, but we've already built out all these facilities, right? And I don't know. I feel like we're bringing value to the league. I would understand why you're we're bringing a lot of value to the league already in kind.
Yeah.
And then, one other thing that foreign correspondent Nate Gilman pointed out that Meg Whitman recently resigned as U.S. ambassador to Kenya.
Interesting.
Which is interesting because when she became ambassador, she had to resign her position with Winged Lion LLC, which is the entity through which she owns 20% of FC Cincinnati. So now,
she's back
nothing's stopping her from being front and center with the women's team if she wants to be.
So presumably one of her sons was running that ownership?
I just think that she retained ownership, but she didn't have a day-to-day position with the company is what it was.
And
I see.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of reasons, especially if you've read some defunct websites why you'd want Meg involved with the women's team and not any family members of hers.
Noted. Well, on that note, Grayson, we can let you go now. You are relieved of duty here.
All right.
So
peace.
Appreciate you.
Love you.
Bye. Chief, do ambassadors usually resign right before a big transition? I don't know if that's should I be reading more into that, or is that par for the course when it comes to ambassadorships during a few months of transition here?
I'll say this as diplomatically as possible. See?
Hey.
It depends. I don't know that Meg aligns with the values of the incoming administration.
I mean, that tracks. And generally speaking, ambassador to Kenya does feel like the last vestiges of a more out and out political patronage, buying a title type thing.
Yeah. They named Dan Rooney's kid, or the owner of the Steelers, the ambassador to Ireland at some point.
Right. Now
there are some people that just stay through administrations.
That's the one that I understand. There's probably a level where at the highest, most important levels, a China or Russia, you definitely want your people in there. On the lowest end, that's definitely where you're just sure, you can be the ambassador to Cambodia. You probably can't break anything here. But there is probably a tier where it's the ambassador to Italy has probably been the ambassador to Italy for 40 years.
Because there's not a lot going on.
Right.
And I think Newt Gingrich's wife, or Newt, is the ambassador to the Vatican City and was even during the Biden administration. I think it doesn't change that much. I actually know the former U.S. ambassador to Libya and also former U.S. ambassador to Ghana. He was the same person.
That's fun.
Went to his daughter's wedding. She married his daughter married a friend of mine, and he served through a couple different presidential administrations. There's a certain class of diplomat where it is political patronage, and there's another one where they're just career foreign service. And,
right.
He is the ambassador because he is really good at his job
Right.
and is incredibly like connected to people. And you just get promoted up through the ranks. So you get assigned this, you get given this task, and it doesn't really matter who's in charge. Because like they're not handing out the ambassadorship to Libya as a political, like, hey, you've been a good contributor.
Right.
Go to Libya for a while and deal with Muammar Gaddafi.
Yeah. You want somebody with a I don't know, an eye for that business.
You can't just ask Elon Musk to do that one. You got to find somebody that knows what the hell they're doing. Like Tucker Carlson can't handle that one. Yeah, but I wouldn't read too much into it. But I would read something into it that I think the timing is. I mean, if we're going to lead off with this right now and just go right into this, I think that the timing is very interesting as to how this is all coming together. Mm-hmm. So this, plus the Caitlin Clark news dropping, and then the announcement of Cincinnati being a finalist, you start to think like, okay, a lot of things are coming together that maybe there was a thumbs up unofficially given to someone as part of this process. I don't know. I don't have any inside information on that. I do have a sense, though, and I would like your take on this with the Caitlin Clark thing. I have a sense this is news that doesn't get out unless things are very close to being official.
I buy that. You know why I buy that? Because Cleveland still has a mystery donor attached to it that we don't know the identity of. Right. Now, smart money is on it being one of the Haslam family members. There's a handful, I suppose it could be, but it's not clear to me that like we know who is behind that bid versus FC Cincinnati is starting to trot out celebrity minor owners. Like, yeah.
No, so I guess to level set, we find out this week from Adam Schefter of all people, which I think is interesting, and I honestly I have some thoughts on that as well. Adam Schefter, ESPN's NFL breaking news guru, like probably the number one name in like sports breaking news at this point, with Woj being retired from the NBA game. He announces breaking news: Caitlin Clark is a silent investor, or is signed on as a silent investor to Cincinnati's NWSL bid. Caitlin Clark, in case you have been living under an absolute rock for the last 2 years, is, I would say at this point, the face of women's athletics.
I was just about to say she might be the most popular female athlete in the world right now.
In the world. She's a WNBA player. She was all world at Iowa. Her games were incredible, outrating men's college basketball. Gets drafted with the WNBA, the Indiana Fever. So she's over in Indianapolis right now. She is, I would say that she has probably taken the mantle of the most well-known and recognizable female athlete in the world at this point. And
actively playing.
And she is going to be a silent partner to, or a minority investor to FC Cincinnati's NWSL bid. Which tracks, because one of the trends that you've seen in the NWSL is that a lot of the more recent teams that they've added, they like to have some prominent female celebrities or people that can be public faces of these organizations and brand ambassadors that buy in. So when Angel City joined NWSL, Natalie Portman, who you might remember as everyone's crush in the 90s as Princess Amidala. Thor's love interest, for those of you that are younger. She was part of a Hollywood cadre that bought into Angel City. Elizabeth Banks is a part owner of Boss Nation FC.
Oh, man.
So, I know. But like it is a thing in the NWSL that like part of what dots the I's and crosses the T's on these bids is they would like to have some female celebrities that are part of female ownership groups. And with Meg Whitman as a primary owner, and then you add Caitlin Clark to it, that's you've I don't know that there's anyone that's more famous as a woman that isn't like, Beyonce or Taylor Swift. Yeah. Like it's like that's the company Caitlin Clark is in at this point in terms of like recognizability, I would think, right?
An ability to sell out arenas. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm honestly the only thing that gives me pause about being even more confident about this is just the fact that it hasn't been announced yet.
Right.
But like, what else are we waiting on? Like, what is the holdup here? They just had their championship this past weekend, and I thought maybe they would do it then. Don Garber has made expansion announcements during MLS Cup finals in the past, although they do like to give each market its little time in the right. spotlight with the announcement and all that stuff. So maybe we get one of those scheduled in the next few months, or probably Grayson not weeks.
Grayson was right, though. So the Sports Business Journal article comes out and says basically that Cincinnati is bidding less money than, because like when MLS had its expansion process, MLS set the price of what expansion was going to cost. And then cities competed and ownership groups competed to see who would be selected to pay that price. They all agreed to pay the price up front. Like if we are selected, we will pay this. And it was known, and it goes up with each expansion cycle. It sounds like what the NWSL is doing here is auctioning off this bid, and you're making an offer. They probably have like a minimum starting price to like that's the get in price. And then you can offer more if you want your bid to be taken more seriously or to bump your bid up. But it is interesting in that regard because number one, I think there's a baseline price on what the NWSL is worth, and somebody smarter with money can tell you what that probably is, how much future growth potential there is, all that sort of nonsense. But Grayson was right. I sort of broke this down on Blue Sky of all places, and like what FC Cincinnati's ownership group is basically saying with this is, look, we are offering you the most sure thing you can have as part of this expansion process. We are coming to you with a fully built out organization, with a fully built out structure. We have a training ground with the capacity to immediately start accommodating a women's team. And I'm told that there is plans to build an additional facility out in Milford that will accommodate the things that are already going on besides the first team at Mercy Health Training Center. And so like the men and the women will exclusively occupy that building right there. And then the 2 team and the youth teams will have a different building that they'll go to. Is what I've been told. But there's going to be right now, you will come in, they will have full access to elite training grounds. They will immediately have the best stadium in the NWSL.
Yes.
It is a market that is proven to be strong for soccer. You're not guessing as to whether or not soccer is going to succeed here. Whereas Cleveland, no idea.
Yeah, right.
Colorado, it's been iffy. Like there's been good years for the Rapids and bad years for the Rapids. No stadium in either one of those other 2 places either. And the thing with the NWSL is that they are kind of in a similar place as to where MLS was about 20 years ago, where they've had some expansion teams go bad.
Yes.
And they've had some failed expansions. The Boss Nation is taking the spot of the Breakers, which I don't know if they folded or they moved somewhere else. I don't recall.
I think they folded or they ended up in DC. It was one of the 2. I honestly don't remember.
And it's like, look, they've made some missteps. And what they can't afford is they can't afford to punt another expansion team, because the minute expansion teams start failing, then that's when investors get skittish about investing in your product, because, OK, am I going to be the next failure here? And so I think Cincinnati kind of understands that in a strange way, the NWSL needs Cincinnati more than Cincinnati needs the NWSL. And a lot of these other places, if Cincinnati does what they're supposed to do and the league continues to grow and they offer a new tent pole for the league, those other places are going to be there. The league has probably at least a dozen more expansion opportunities before it even starts to get even close to unwieldy. I mean, it makes too much sense for them to pick someone other than Cincinnati. And if you said, what's the holdup? My guess what the holdup is that they're just trying to see if they can finagle a couple more $1 million out of the Cincinnati ownership group before they say yes.
Yeah. That may very well just be it at this point is the negotiations on the expansion fee. I guess the other thing I would love to know more about is, and I don't want this to be interpreted as an anti-NWSL point or question, because I absolutely want a women's team here. I would love to see the NWSL here. I'd love to see the return of the Dirty River Derby, all of that good stuff. All of it positive. I want it. But I also would like to know what the plan is for the field at TQL Stadium, because
I saw this on Discord.
Yeah. Again, not saying I don't want NWSL. I am saying I want to know what the plan is, because after the Kenny Chesney concert, that turf wasn't looking the same. And I know they literally replaced it, but whatever they replaced it with wasn't it. So
right. Well, I think that the lesson learned here is that you don't hold concerts in the middle of the season.
Or, yeah, like I don't.
And
other
like
places have done this, though.
You don't need to do that. Like, that's the joy of having a women's team that's under the same umbrella playing there. Is like, look, you are doubling the number of dates that you're monetizing your building. And it like really lessens the pressure to do things like have a concert in the middle of the season. You don't need to do that to create extra revenue streams, especially if the women's team is selling well. They're bringing extra people there. There's more people buying $10 beers and, $20 nachos or whatever they're charging for things now. Like, you don't have that pressure to keep looking for more and more reasons to put things in your building. So, yeah, I don't worry about that quite as much. Lesson learned a little bit this year, but like a lot of teams, they do women's games and men's games in their facilities. A lot of teams that are in, northern climates. I think DC does it in their building now. Yeah. Everything seems like it's all right. Like, it's just a question of making sure that you've got the right people, and then consider not killing your playing surface in August or July, like the hardest time for grass to take root. Yeah. And I'm sure there was some weather concerns as well that didn't pan out the way we wanted. If I remember correctly, pretty rough drought of a summer this year. I don't remember mowing nearly as much as I probably should have. So I'm sure all of these things factored in as well. I was thinking, though, it would be kind of funny with the sort of grand staircase. Could you in some way fit a stage at the bottom of the staircase, build more grandstands above it, and somehow turned the exterior of the stadium into a concert venue where then you could open up the concourse of TQL Stadium as your concert venue concourse, like where the bathrooms aren't they building another venue as part of the mixed use development? Isn't that supposed to happen?
I don't know what is that and what is the arena.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's a compromise. As Birding says, I promise I won't hold any more concerts at the stadium if all the fans agree to vote for whatever the tax is that builds an arena so we can have concerts there instead.
I'll get at least 25,000 votes right there.
Right. You have the players doing commercials like, don't let this happen on our field.
That would be so funny. They're holding our soccer team hostage.
We're begging you. Our ankles and our ligaments are begging you to do something about this field.
They should try to sell season tickets to the arena so that you sort of pre-buy future concerts. And then if they sell enough of those,
right,
then they can promise not to hold concert at TQL Stadium.
Yeah, but I'm not worried. I saw that on Discord. It's funny. I am not worried about more dates with the soccer pitch. It doesn't playing games doesn't tear the field up nearly as much as putting down an entire covering, building a stage, and killing it off from not seeing sun for multiple days. Yeah. Or one NFL game. Yeah.
You're sharing with an NFL team.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. One NFL game with players that are 300 pounds smashing into other people that are 300 pounds and trying to push back against one another with their inch long cleats in the turf.
Right.
That'll chew it up a lot more than I think a full season of women's games.
Yeah, and all of the wear and tear down that same little 10-yard strip right down the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Objectively, I mean, this is one of those things where this is cool.
Yeah.
And this is new Cincinnati. Like, I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago or a couple episodes ago that, like, we have to stop thinking about Cincinnati as this place of, well, that's never going to happen here, or we're never going to do that. Like, no, we're bidding to have the first professional women's sports team in the state of Ohio and the preeminent women's athlete on the planet. The face of women's athletics wants to be a part of it. Like, this is one of those things where if you're still sleeping on Cincinnati's ability to do stuff, wake up.
Yeah.
Because we can do these things in this town. We can have nice things where we are allowed as a city. I understand that it doesn't come easily with our DNA. We're allowed to dream big. We're allowed to think to ourselves, yes, we can have an NWSL team. We can get the Sundance Film Festival. We can finish the subway. We can do all of these things. We don't have to, like, settle for mediocrity any longer. It is not a requirement.
Chief, that reminds me, I've got a Google map to show you. I've got some subway plans. Okay.
Hell yeah.
We've got some plans.
As soon as the holidays are over, it's full subway season. It's Subway and MLS basement season as soon as that's done.
I've got five routes for you all ready to go.
Oh, I can't wait. Like, give me all the routes and all the maps.
We will wrap it up with the note here. I know Grayson spoke so much on this that there may not be much here. Jeff Loreno, it's we have to mention, nominated as a finalist for MLS Next Pro Executive of the Year. Wasn't on my radar, but a couple of days ago it was announced. So, hey, congrats, Jeff. That's great.
So I was not aware we had an FCC2 executive.
Right.
I just sort of assumed it was Chris Albright that was doing everything. And then, I don't know, a couple guys in the data and the statistical tracking thing that were on it. So,
yeah, done.
I'm happy he won this. I'm always a fan of anything. If there's an award to be given, I want FC Cincinnati to win it.
Yes.
So I will choose to believe that this award I didn't realize existed to a person I didn't know was doing this job. I'm going to choose to believe this is more evidence that we are the best run club in Major League Soccer.
Yes. I mean, absolutely. There is nothing more to say. We did get asked in the Discord, a sort of general, hey, anybody know anything about that Commonwealth United branding or whatever it was? And word I've gotten is don't expect anything soon. I suspect the NWSL energy has taken up a lot of the oxygen in that space. I also seem to remember that FC Cincinnati had been doing quite a bit of lobbying in the state of Kentucky, both at the state level and the local level, to try to get money to renovate that stadium. I suspect some branding is attached to whatever the next generation or next version of that stadium is. And I have not heard a peep about that. So,
well, I mean, the other thing too is that there was a story this week about how MLS wants more of these teams to move away from their localities, adopt their own branding, stop being known as two teams, like start being a little more of their own entities. I don't think the league has a great handle still on how all this is going to go down. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if the league said, hey, hold off on any rebranding, hold off on any major decisions. We may be asking you to move this team someplace else. Or we may be asking you to, instead of having this as Commonwealth United in Northern Kentucky, we may want you to consider having this in Dayton, Ohio, or in, trying to think where else, like, because Lexington has a team, Louisville has a team.
Evanston?
Evanston? Yeah, I'll go Evansville.
Evansville is what I meant.
Evanston's where Northwestern is. I think it's a little far away.
Or Evanston, the neighborhood in Cincinnati. Yeah.
Or like Toledo or, Fort Wayne, Indiana. I don't know. Like,
yeah. Yeah, you're probably not competing in Louisville or Lexington. Yeah, that's Dayton is probably it. Although Northern Kentucky is its own sort of funny thing where I do think that there is a space for a Northern Kentucky branded entity serving well with FC Cincinnati. Like the Florence Freedom or Florence Y'alls, excuse me. Whoa.
No, they're always going to be the Freedom to us. Like yes. I will never vote against Freedom. I'm an American to my core.
But the Y'alls is a great name. But they've carved out a niche and they're not even they're fully independent. So right. That's I don't know.
I mean, how soon we forget the Northern Kentucky River Monsters Indoor Football League.
Of course.
I mean, come on. I agree with you. I'm just saying that like it would not surprise me if the MLS would be saying maybe go a little further outside your comfort zone, so to speak.
Yeah. And we've seen the league do this to the teams before. I think back to the broadcast media rights negotiations. They told everybody you absolutely cannot have a local media partner past whatever it was at the time, 2022, because they were in the process of cooking some stuff up for us.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know anything else more than that. Chief, is there any other FC Cincinnati news that I am not remembering?
Vibes around the team, like, and vibes around the city right now for a team that got dumped out unceremoniously from the playoffs.
It's very
true. Feeling good, man. Like, if their goal was to try and make me forget how the season ended, setting a record for an incoming player transfer that seems to check every box. Like I'm saying every box. Like, man builds a home gym inside his house. He wants to work out more, is playing chess instead of going to the club. Like all sorts of cool stuff being written about him. Cool accent mark unnecessarily added over his name. Love it. We're adding Caitlin Clark to the NWSL bid.
Boom.
Love it. Like just the vibes right now around this city and this club are absolutely immaculate. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is cool.
Not too shabby. Well, on that note, Chief, shall we head on over to part 2, answer a couple of Patreon questions, and then maybe call it an episode? It's
a holiday weekend. It's a holiday week. No one's really working this week. Keep it short.
Keep it nice and light. I like it. So we will do our part to quiet quit the podcast. We'll answer a couple of Patreon questions and get you out of here. And before we get to the next part of the episode, I want to tell you about our friends over at Cincy Shirts, as if you need me to tell you about them. Let's be real. If you are in the market for a t-shirt, dare I say, a Cincinnati-themed t-shirt, why are you looking anywhere else other than Cincy Shirts? They've got the best stuff. They've got awesome Reds, Bengals, FC Cincinnati gear. They've got all sorts of gear for your whatever you got going on. Okay. That's how big and broad it is. You've got an old timey classic amusement park that is your favorite from the Cincinnati area. I bet you they got a t-shirt about it. Did one of your old favorite franchises fold, or maybe a franchise you never got to see play fold? I bet you they've got a t-shirt for them. It's a really cool selection. I got to tell you, in store is maybe the best way to go. They will print on site. You didn't hear it from me, but you can work out some special arrangements. Say you've got a design you really like, but you want it on the back of a shirt. I bet you could talk them into it. Okay. It's a good time. It's a really, really good shop. They're good people over there. You can find them in Loveland. You can find them in Oakley Hyde Park, and you can find them in Northern Kentucky, and they print online as well. They'll ship to you anywhere. Now, here's the best part. They sell gear for the post. That's right. You want an Opie shirt? They've got that. You want a one of the 12 shirt? They got that. You want to let folks know how you feel about San Diego? Boy, there is a shirt to show people that, okay? Check them out, Cincy Shirts. When you're there, use the promo code ThePostCincy. All one word, all caps. They'll knock 10% off of the entire order. That works on post gear as well. So please do not buy our stuff at full price. Okay, use the code, knock a couple bucks off for yourself. So thank you to Cincy Shirts for sponsoring this episode. Thank you, listener, for using the code. All right, we are back. We've got some Patreon questions to answer, and that is because we got some fine folks out there who have dedicated at least some measurable percentage of their family household budget to giving us some of that household budget. And that is remarkable, astonishing, and honestly a little embarrassing for both of us. Yes, you too can offer up $2 a month to help keep the postcast posting, and in return, you get your name in highlighter pink on the Discord, which is free to join, by the way, so you should go do that. It's a very fun little community that we've built up over there. And you also get to ask us a question, which will appear on the podcast, which is exactly
this
what we are doing
right
now. There's a couple of here, Chief. Maybe to go back to the vibes that were asked a couple of weeks ago. So it's not the hottest news right now, but it's definitely something still percolating out there. So I'm going to ask a couple of these in a row. One of them is Carl Fight asks, Lucho isn't happy and now wants to possibly leave as others before him. We're building a team around him. How do we feel about this? Does he just not understand what ownership is trying to do? Are they not communicating enough with him? He can dribble the ball incredibly well, make many perfect passes, but he can't take a corner or set piece effectively, and at times can be selfish. For me, I feel like if you don't want to be here, then go. Also, on a similar note, DeDrizzle asked, I'm shitting, crying, and pissing. What are we going to do without our little magician? You know, sort of the same question asked in two very different ways.
It's a big question. And
it is. Wait, hang on. I got one more for you. Tim Sears asking, I hate that Lucho may want out, but I also don't want him to stay if he doesn't want to be here. Given that so much of the team was built around him, what is the system-wide overhaul we might be considering? Chief, how do we feel about Lucho? It's been sort of the same question the last couple of episodes, but the question isn't answered. So how do we feel right now?
Interested. It's interesting how that story almost feels like months ago because of the Denke news that they signed Kevin Denke, MLS transfer record breaking, and haven't heard a lot from Lucho since that happened. Now there'd be no reason to. It's not like he's tripping over himself from media inquiries, but I'm sure that the requests have been put out there by our local scribes to have a word with Lucho or talk to Lucho. So I don't know. I don't know.
Would have loved to have seen Instagram comment from Lucho, like giving the welcome to the team or, you know, the applause emojis under it. I don't know. Some sort of sign of life that he's happy with this.
There's a billion different rumors about all this. And like we said a couple episodes ago, and I want to make sure that I'm very clear on this because I do not, and we've talked about this, you, me, and Grayson. We specifically do not want this podcast to turn into wag talk. We don't want to talk about wives. We don't want to talk about girlfriends. We don't want to talk personal lives. It is a part of people's lives. And it's a part of, you know, we forget sometimes with these players that especially with Lucho, you know, he's been in America for a while. He wants to be an American citizen. His kids are America. He is not American. He is not from here. He has a home that isn't the United States of America. It damn sure is in Cincinnati, despite him loudly proclaiming this is my city.
He conquered us, apparently.
He wept for there were no more neighborhoods to conquer here in the greater Cincinnati area. I don't know. I tend to think with this sort of stuff, there is a couple weeks till the window would even open for him to shop or be shopped.
Yeah.
So I'm just sort of in wait and see moment on what's going to happen with him. And as far as what the team does, it's a big question.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Albright has been pretty good about filling the holes he needs to fill. When this team was desperate for defensive help, he got us Matt Miazga.
Yeah.
And utilized the allocation order. He waited out Chelsea to avoid paying a transfer fee. Got Matt Miazga. This team was desperate for anyone in the midfield that could be a defensive stopper in the midfield. He gets Obina Wobodo, who was phenomenal. We don't win Supporters Shield without him. We had a hole at wingback this year because we couldn't retain Santiago Arias. They were too far apart on salary for one another. He goes and makes a trade for DeAndre Yedlin and brings DeAndre Yedlin to town. You had Tom Bogert on Soccer Wise talking about Cincinnati is a destination for MLS players.
Yep.
And we've had no problem recruiting players here on big money deals when we need to. And if Lucho really does go somewhere, he's leaving on as a DP, and he is freeing a DP spot. And even if we're going with the 2 DP model, we still have the ability to use Lucho's DP spot to replace him. So look, they will have if he goes, they will have a full winter window to look for replacing him. Albright has shown himself adept at signing big time players, acquiring players you otherwise wouldn't be able to get via loan deals. I don't know what the team is going to look like, but I think you trust the people that are involved. And I think to the other part of the question too, going behind his back, it's been debunked. I mean, Bogert said very clearly that's not the case. And Bogert isn't the type of guy that's going to take one person's word for that. And I think he would have heard from people if Lucho was being shopped this window.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's categorically false on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably, if you would have asked me this question before Denke got signed, I was a lot more like, we're fucked. But right now, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think it's funny, too, that Laurel even had a story about how Lucho had sort of instructed his agent, I believe is the correct characterization, to look at possibilities outside of FC Cincinnati sometime this summer. But even in her telling of the story, it's not behind his back. No. So like we got 2 versions of this. Neither one of them are the sort of scandalous one that has made its way around the internet a little bit. I think my answer to sort of like, what are we going to do is very interesting in that Christian Perez asks us a question about exactly that and maybe looking in-house. And we did touch on this before, but I'll reiterate it as well. Christian Perez asking, with the possibility of Lucho leaving, do you guys think it's time for Luca to get that number 10 spot and become the new captain? Or maybe you try to replace Lucho, and if so, who do you think could be our number 10? Yeah, I think the answer is they would immediately go out and replace him, and I am sure they have a couple of guys in mind already that they've been scouting. This is a very intelligent team. Soccer is a very fast-moving sport. It is not like baseball or football where baseball, you knew Joey Votto was the first baseman for a decade, literally. Right. And you knew, and we know right now, Joe Burrow is the quarterback of the Bengals until he can't play anymore. Well, he signed a deal. All right.
He signed a deal. I hope for everyone's sake and everyone's sanity around here that the team really commits to keeping him happy this offseason.
Yeah, but there isn't the possibility of a big NFL Euro team from Germany courting Burrow and poaching him away. There's only a handful of spots he could even go. In soccer, things can change so quickly that you have to have targets and ideas in mind for every player. They have targets in mind for who they would replace Roman Celentano with. Yeah. They have targets in mind for who they will replace Buka with. Yeah. He's been here for 1 year. It doesn't matter.
You got to be Batman. Batman had a plan for if every member of the Justice League went rogue. Like, you always have to be planning. And look, the other thing I want to make sure that people understand, and correct me if you think I'm out of pocket on this, because I am known to go out of pocket on things. This is not unusual where a star player who you think is, he's going to retire in this jersey. We love him. He loves it here. all of a sudden decides he wants to go someplace else. Like, this happens all the time in soccer, and to way bigger clubs than FC Cincinnati, where players just decide it's time for me to move on. Whether that's because they think they need a new challenge somewhere, they think they can make more money somewhere, they want to go someplace else just because they want nicer weather somewhere, or they want to go back closer to home. Like, and they just decide these on random days, and all of a sudden, this player that you just bought the kit for is being shipped out somewhere. It happens to the super clubs over in Europe, where a player will be like, you know what, I just don't want to play for Bayern anymore. Or I'm done with my time here at Chelsea. It happens. It is nothing personal to Cincinnati. It's nothing personal to the front office. It's not a sign that someone's doing a job badly. It's not even necessarily a sign that things are bad here. It's just sometimes soccer players just decide, sometimes they're just flighty about things. And he's floated this idea before. Like, yes, he's a little flighty about things.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that really gets me, is that Lucho has signaled his intention to go back to specifically Boca, but Argentina generally, multiple times in the past. And yeah, exactly to your point. There's two perfect examples of this with Bayern Munich just in like the last 2 years or so, where they lost Lewandowski to a broke Barcelona, where it wasn't entirely clear how they were going to pay for him, and then also poached Harry Kane from Tottenham. Like, you have club legends who, yeah, the fans sort of assume will be buried under the stand at some point when they're done playing for this team, are just like, yeah, now I'm going to go try something else over here. Cristiano Ronaldo moving from Real Madrid to Juventus, or hell, Messi breaking down, crying at his press conference, announcing he is leaving Barcelona. He didn't want to leave Barcelona and left Barcelona. Like, this happens. Okay. So,
and remember this too about Lucho. He has now played 11 professional seasons. He turned professional in 2014.
Okay.
He has never been anywhere longer than 4 years.
Dang.
Like 1 year at Boca Juniors, 1 year at Estudiantes, 4 at DC United, 2 at Atlas, 4 at FC Cincinnati. Like, they talk about the 7-year itch. With Lucho, it's the 4-season itch. And, you know, I want him to be here. I think this team is more fun to watch when he's here. I love how annoyed other teams get with him. And yeah, but like, you know, Nashville fans thought Hani Mukhtar was going to be great forever. And after he won the MVP, they gave him a big money deal, and he kind of sucks now. So,
yeah,
you know, you can't fall in love with it. You got to fall in love with the jersey. You can't fall in love with the people wearing it.
Yep.
We'll be all right. I'm confident that Albright's got this.
Yeah. There's definitely a replacement out there. It's a guy you've never heard of, and
you'll love him. He'll be your new favorite player.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess we should get this question out of the way. Timothy Meadows asks, Tim Meadows? Wait, SNL.
The ladies' man?
Yeah. You guys keep talking about your 12 listeners. That seems like a stretch. 2 laughing, crying with joy emojis, which, hey, Tim, I don't go and bully you on your own Patreon, all right? What is the actual number of listeners? The answer to that is highly classified. So there you go. There's your answer.
The answer is there's too many. We say the 12 because I believe with all of my heart that if more than 12 people are listening to this, that something is horribly wrong with our society. Make no mistake. This is not good content we produce. Like, we do this to entertain ourselves because we're friends. But like the fact that anyone downloads this nonsense and listens all the way through is deeply embarrassing to me. I'm
trying to think of what like a good proxy would be. So all of the episodes are uploaded to YouTube. There's no video component. It is just
because Grayson's camera shy. That's the only reason at this point. So bully him if you want more video content.
Yeah. It just posts the album art, but on it you can see the view count. Okay, I don't have a way to turn that off, I don't think. So There you go. Just look at the YouTube views. That's how many views we got.
You're right. You know, the other thing too is that like it's impossible to flex in this space too, where it's like no matter how many people download an episode, we are still like a fly on the back of the Tyrannosaurus Rex that is every other major sports podcast out there. Like it is
right.
You can lose. I used to look at the download numbers every week. I've stopped doing it. I just don't. I realized it is what it is. It's not changing. We're not making new fans. I'll say that much at this point. But like, it doesn't matter because, like, you know, Pardon My Take does 1 million downloads a week, and it's like nobody cares about your stupid little soccer podcast.
Yeah.
I am, in all honesty, I am grateful for everyone that does choose to listen. Thank you so much. Tell a friend, tell 2 friends, and go have some Gold Star chili.
Yeah, exactly that. I will say the numbers fluctuate with how well the team does, and it is very funny.
Yeah.
Like not just generally like after a win or after a loss, but like you can tell the sort of ebbs and flows of the season based on a general, you know, chart there.
Although weirdly, like we had way too many downloads in the off season last year. Like last January was one of our best months we'd ever done to that point. I think we set a download record in January for ourselves.
Yeah, very weird. You all are very weird.
So this year you guys are going to have to do better. So tell 4 friends then.
And I'll wrap us up with this one because, Chief, I know you have timely thoughts on this. Bart Sharkey asks best/worst holiday and why. Chief, take it away.
The worst holiday.
Oh, what's that one, Chief?
I get cooked for this every year. Hey. And I will never change my opinion on this. The worst holiday of the year is Thanksgiving. I hate Thanksgiving. It's the most overrated holiday. Everything is closed, so you can't go do anything. Like other holidays, like the 4th of July, even Easter, there's some stuff open. There's nothing open on Thanksgiving. Yes. So you are just trapped with whatever family event you have to do. And once you reach a certain age, you've got to start going to multiple family events, which means and it's disrespectful not to eat the meal at whatever event you go to. So you've got to wake up. You got to go to your first stop for Thanksgiving and eat Thanksgiving food and then dessert. And then you got to, you know, have your conversations with all the relatives and people, then get in the car, go to the next stop, eat more Thanksgiving food and more dessert, all the while being serenaded by awful NFL games because inevitably it's always Detroit and it's always Dallas and they're always the matchup is always garbage.
Yes.
And then sort of the cherry on top of the turd sundae is Thanksgiving food is trash. All right. Like I get pushed back on this every year. And if you like Thanksgiving food, if you're a person that likes Thanksgiving food, you're a liar. You do not like Thanksgiving food. You know how I know you don't like Thanksgiving? I know how I know you don't like Thanksgiving food? It's because you never eat it any other time during the year. You never go to a restaurant and say, you know what sounds really good right now? Let me have the turkey with cranberries and stuffing. You know why you never order that? Because it's not on the menu anywhere. Because if people actually liked this food, it would be available at more restaurants. You know what's at restaurants? Burgers, pasta, chicken, steak, things people like to eat. There are pizzerias. There are Chinese restaurants. There's Indian restaurants. There isn't a Thanksgiving restaurant. The only place you can get Thanksgiving food is Bob Evans. Have you ever been inside of Bob Evans? The average age of the patron is pre-embalmed, okay? Like regular, everyday, normal-ass people don't go out and say, you know what I'm really craving is Thanksgiving food right now. Let's go get that. You know why? Because you don't really like it. You don't really like it. You will fight with me. You'll hop into the Discord as soon as you listen to this, ready to fight with me and talk about how much you love this food. And then when I ask you when was the last time you had it, it's last Thanksgiving. Like you've had 365 additional days to eat Thanksgiving food again, and you haven't. You know why? Because you don't really like it. It's not really that good. It's various types of starchy, flavorless mush is what it is.
Chief, I've always disagreed with your take here. Now,
when was the last time you had Thanksgiving food, Kevin?
So here's the thing. Last Thanksgiving, of course.
Yeah.
Of
okay.
course.
Okay.
Now, I will say our our family on my in-laws side frequents the Cracker Barrel. Okay, so I'm around it enough.
Right.
But
Did you order it when it was there?
I try not to. Okay?
Yeah.
But I will say this: the last couple of years, I have cooked the Thanksgiving meal, and I like to think I do a pretty damn good job. I've always enjoyed my Thanksgiving cooking more than any other sort of Thanksgiving meal that I've been a part of. Apologies, various mothers and grandmothers that have been in and around my life. This year, we are getting Bob Evans takeout for the Thanksgiving meal for reasons beyond my control and are honestly a little sad to mention on the podcast.
I'm sorry.
So I won't. But I am dreading this meal. So I might have slowly snuck my way into your camp in the middle of the night just for this year.
You can get some Gold Star, some cans of Gold Star, and make that up.
I might honestly just bring a can of Gold Star and slap it on everything and take a picture of it.
I would be okay with that. You know, you want to make Thanksgiving better. You want to make Thanksgiving better. Add Geta and Cincinnati style chili to it. Add Geta and Gold Star. Take away the gravy and get me some Gold Star chili that we can put on the turkey. Then we're talking right here.
A Coney Crave case. Let's bring it on. I love this.
Or mix some Geta into the stuffing. Now we're talking here a little bit.
I like that idea. Now, Chief, understanding that this is your least favorite holiday and you hate the meal, you do have to participate and eat the meal. So I ask you this: which do you prefer, the evening dinner time Thanksgiving or the midday Thanksgiving meal?
So we were always a evening Thanksgiving family when I was growing up. Mostly because my dad actually worked on a lot of Thanksgivings. So and there was a brief window where we could do dinner in the evenings based on his job hours. Since becoming an adult, my wife's family, they are sort of a early evening Thanksgiving family, which is your dinner is close to 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that. My sister, shout out to her in the Discord. She has started to host Thanksgiving because she's made the conclusion that instead of doing the trek everywhere, I'm just going to host Thanksgiving and everybody else can come to me. So that's one of our stops on Thanksgiving.
Like that.
Noon. And I've been turned around on it. That's where it is. That's the sweet spot right there. And the reason why I've been also turned around on this is that the only part of Thanksgiving I enjoy, and I mean this sincerely, the only part of Thanksgiving I enjoy is that if you eat Thanksgiving dinner early enough, or if we're done with all of our Thanksgiving responsibilities early enough, I can go to the bar around the corner from my house and watch the late night NFL game at the bar.
There we go.
The bar on Thanksgiving night is an incredible experience. It is the best because you know what it is? It is you've talked to family, and I love my family. I love my in-laws. They're all incredible people. My in-laws are great. I don't do the cliche hate my mother-in-law thing.
Right.
Love my dad, love my sister, and my nephew and her husband. All these people are great. But interacting with family and having all these family conversations and doing all this, you got to be on. You got to be on. And the plopping onto the seat at the bar and just having a pint of Guinness poured and just that deep sigh of, all right, we're done with that. It is an elite feeling. That first post-holiday responsibility beer.
Oh, I love that. I when I've hosted, I'm a big fan of the 1 p.m. eating time for us. So same idea.
Did you ever do the go out shopping on Thanksgiving when that used to be a thing?
Did it one time and felt super gross, but we were buying a Christmas tree. So I felt a little bit of both, but yeah, I really try not to. I hate ordering things that may be delivered around Thanksgiving. Like if it says it'll be there on Thanksgiving, I will move the ship date if at all possible. I'm a big fan of hey, let's all try to actually get this day off, which I understand is a negative for you, Chief, but I don't want to actually have anybody be forced to work on that day, as I have had to work many, many Thanksgivings. So I feel for that.
I did enjoy, like, I used to wander up to Target every so often.
Yeah.
Not like one of the people like they're the demons that are there as soon as the door opened, but 10 o'clock after everything else had settled down.
Yeah.
Before you go to the bar for your beer. Just wander around and see the carnage a little bit. I do enjoy that a lot.
Online shopping has really killed that. And there has been a sort of cultural pushback, I feel, on the Thanksgiving shopping experience. I feel like more stores were advertising the last couple of years that they would not be open.
Well, COVID kind of killed that off a little bit.
That's
like
a
where,
good
it
point,
was like
actually.
the year that was a thing, everyone was like, no, we're not just going to do this. And then just never came back. And nobody, because of online shopping and all this, and there's only so many TVs you can buy. All right. Like,
we have definitely hit peak TV.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I bought one of those LG OLEDs. I've been good for the last 5 years. I don't need to get trampled to death by, a bunch of people looking for, $5 off a boot in order to buy a television. I don't need it.
I have a 36-inch television in my bedroom, which, I mean, feel free to be upset or offended by that, to the no TV in the bedroom people. But that TV has been with me longer than my marriage. It is doing just fine. I've been married for 11 years, just for context there. So, yes.
Yeah. So... What's your least favorite holiday, Kevin?
My least favorite holiday, I mean, it's an easy one to hate on. Sweetest Day, all right?
Sweetest Day? That's crap. That's like no. Like, if we're going to go to Hallmark holidays, Boss's Day, all right? I hate.
Right. Okay. Yes. Sweetest Day, though, one time in my life, I was made to feel guilty for not having done something for Sweetest Day. I had to pull out the Wikipedia article real quick. I was like, absolutely not.
I never heard it.
Absolutely, you will not guilt me into this whatsoever.
Sweetest Day was in October, right?
October 12th-ish?
Yeah, because
like that.
I obviously didn't celebrate. I had a lot of shit. By the same token, do we do this on the show? Do we remind people about St. Nick's Day?
Oh,
because I hate that holiday.
Oh, okay.
And only because I hate it for this reason. It's very specific. Is that it is St. Nick's Day is a very German Cincinnati Catholic thing.
December 5th,
something like that.
Yeah,
and my parents are neither of my parents are native to Cincinnati. My mom was from Pittsburgh. My dad is from New Jersey. And we moved to Cincinnati from Tampa when I was like about kindergarten age. And so neither one of them had any experience with the St. Nick's thing as a holiday. And I remember the first year I was in school where St. Nick's Day was a thing, and everybody came to school with like things they got in their shoe for St. Nick's Day. And I got nothing. And I was like, what? And I later, I talked to my mom about it. She was like, yeah, no, I had no idea it was a thing. But I didn't tell her that day. I just felt bad. And so she didn't do it the next year either. And I think it was like 2 or 3 years before I was like, what's going on here?
I want something.
Yeah, like, is there a problem here? Because like, Jeff down the street got like all this candy and like a bunch of baseball cards. Like, what about me, man?
On that day, you learned what it was like to be Jewish, I think.
Exactly. Right.
Let's see.
You got to pick a real holiday. You can't pick like a Hallmark holiday. It's got to be something real.
Okay. So a real holiday, I think, it's St. Patrick's Day. And
oh my God! What? No. Okay, go ahead.
So here's my take on this.
Right.
I and this is very funny to complain about in Cincinnati for the exact reason you just explained. I get super annoyed at people who are really big into their heritage that have no actual connection to that place. You can't be Irish and be fourth generation born in the US, have never traveled to Ireland and talk about how Irish you are. That to me is just like, you've assimilated at this point. You don't get to claim some sort of ancestry here. Like, I would love to talk about my German roots and heritage, but like, I don't have any, so it's okay.
It's just a drinking holiday. It's kind of like Cinco de Mayo and Oktoberfest.
Right.
It's like it's a themed reason to be drunk, is what it is.
Right. And that's fine.
But like it's good because, like, you know, if you want to do the Irish drinking day, you got St. Pat's. If you got the Mexican drinking day, you've got Cinco de Mayo. If you want to do the German drinking day, you've got Oktoberfest. And if you want the atheist drinking day, you've got New Year's Eve. It's all good. Everybody's got a night where they can go and they can make a lot of irresponsible decisions with like consumption.
That's true. But yeah, the drinking part of the festivities, I've never wanted to shit on somebody's fun. That's fine. It's the sort of Irish flag everywhere that's like I'm looking at it all a little suspicious.
Yeah. You know that there was a thing a while ago. I think they've kind of calmed down on it just because it's problematic. The Italians used to claim that was Christopher Columbus Day for them.
Ah. Yeah, it wasn't. I think there's like some weird mafia ties to Christopher Columbus Day.
Yeah, there's a big episode of The Sopranos about it. In our house, Christopher Columbus is a saint or whatever it is. Hey,
I love that. What's your favorite holiday, though?
Ooh, favorite holiday. I love summer holidays. I really do like the 4th of July a lot, just because it's like it's outdoors. You have a barbecue going. There's no expectation you're buying gifts for anyone.
It's true.
You just, you know, you don't have, it's like you can drink on the 4th of July. And if you want to get drunk, you can do it. But there's no societal expectation like St. Patrick's Day. Like you got to be throwing them back hardcore. Like I said, you can be outdoors. You can invite the people over you want to hang out with. If you want to see your family on the 4th of July, you can do that. If you want to invite your friends over on the 4th of July, you can do that instead. You have options.
Yeah, food that everybody wants to eat. Yeah,
just burgers, like whatever you want to make on the grill. Actually, I misspoke. The atheist or the non-international denomination drinking day is the day before Thanksgiving. It's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
That is the best bar night by far.
You know, I've retired it as a concept. I talked about this in the show before, that I used to throw a party every year on the night before Thanksgiving, where we invited everybody over to the house, and the requirement was you brought beer and you brought a food item to share that you got from a fast food restaurant or that you didn't prepare yourself.
I love that.
So like people would come over, like the one year my buddy Benny brought like a Crave case of White Castles over.
Perfect.
The one year somebody brought over like Popeye's chicken sandwiches. My sister brought like a bunch of Cheddar Bay biscuits from Red Lobster. I went down to the Chinese restaurant and got like 100 pork fried wontons, like Big Macs and shit. Like it looked like that scene at the Trump White House when he invited the
Clemson, was
the football team over, which is stacks of fast food everywhere. My wife hated this fucking party. She's like, this is the grossest thing ever, that you eat all this disgusting fast food and then you wander down to the bar and then come back and eat the same fast food that's been sitting out since
but
like
it's
you
cold
left.
now.
Yeah.
You know, the best way to eat
you have
fast
a microwave. You can microwave that back up. That's what that's for. Yes, I will eat this cardboard looking hot and ready pizza that's like stone cold, that's been sitting out on the counter for 4 hours.
Hey, you know, Little Caesars was there for us when nobody else was.
That's absolutely true.
There is a pizza to dollar ratio where Little Caesars creeps up the power rankings because it is so cheap.
Oh my God, when I was in law school, like I would buy one for lunch and I would eat one. I buy one for dinner, eat half it for dinner, and then save the rest for lunch the next day. It was a $2.50 meal.
I absolutely did the same thing. It was like, oh, this is meal prepping, baby.
Yeah. Go buy 3 hot-readies, and if I was having a good week, you know, throw crazy bread on there too. Why not? Knock yourself out.
Things are going well.
We're having a good week this week. We're going to splurge another $2 crazy bread right there, please. I'll have an appetizer with my meal today.
Yes, I will have the pretzel crust. Thank you very much.
I'm an American, damn it. I deserve this. See, people go to Little Caesars. There's not a Little Caesars. There's not a $5 hot and ready turkey and stuffing combo.
I'm trying to think. My favorite is, I mean, it's funny because they sort of get mushed together. Is probably a toss up between New Year's and Christmas. I like Christmas in that, like, people seem to make an effort to try to be happy. And I like that about about society.
What,
That
pretending to be happy?
Yeah, well, just like, making an effort to have the appearance of nice things. People put up lights and decorations, and there's gift giving, and I understand there's downsides to all of this, but I like a nice society, and that's about as nice as we get. So I'll take it.
I'll take that. I like it. I also like the week between Christmas and New Year's is an elite week.
Yes.
Where there's just really no it's the closest thing most of us experience to being European, I think. Where there's really no expectation of doing any work that week. And if you get an email in that week and you just don't respond to it, it's just like, yeah, we get it. It's between Christmas and New Year's. It's my bad. It's my bad for even thinking you were there this week. And so like, for that brief moment, we all get to experience what a different life we could be leading is. And I think we all really like it.
At the Sign Museum, we had instituted an idea that that was always a dead time for the museum as well. So we convinced everybody that we would just be closed for those 2 weeks and we'd pick it back up in January. Yeah. And it was amazing. And everybody had a good time with it.
Yeah. No, I love that. Like, we need more of that in society, more of that in life.
Yes. Join a union. Wait,
what? Oh God.
Chief, I think that's going to do it for a postcast.
Yeah, we should probably note for the listeners, do we have a plan for a Thanksgiving episode on Thursday since our release schedule?
There will be a Thanksgiving episode. It will not be the usual type of episode.
It will not be Dungeons and Dragons either, so don't get your hopes up.
No. It'll be something a little different that we've never done before. So hopefully people like it. I think it'll be fun. And yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to it, honestly. So that's exciting.
There we go. All right. Well, enjoy your week. This is another fun week to slack off. So hopefully your slacking goes well. And if it's not, well, go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cincy Postcast. It is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out at thepostcincy.com or just click a link in the description to check out some of our written work. It also has links to our social media accounts across all sorts of different platforms, including YouTube, where we are trying to do more and more video content. Please, dare I say it, like and subscribe and leave a comment. But no, that would be really, really helpful. I also want to give a thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers. They're a local Cincinnati band who provided all of the music for this episode. We love having them on board. You can check them out. Again, link in the description of this episode to find out where they might be playing shows next or where you can listen to more of their music. Also want to give a massive, massive thank you to the awesome and very attractive patrons over on Patreon. It is a voluntary subscription that people take out with no real promise of anything extra that keep this show afloat. And we are so, so thankful to those of you that have decided to take that commitment. If you do like the show, or at least just want to engage with other people who have listened to the show and want to talk about FC Cincinnati, MLS, soccer, or really anything else, you can go on over to Discord. Again, link in the description. Lots of links in the description where you can find a link to the Discord. That's where we are keeping the conversation going 24/7. It feels like it's a really fun group of people in there just talking about FC Cincinnati. And like I said, just about everything else. And finally, I'll say it. If you liked this episode, and given the fact that you've made it all the way to the end, I have to assume you either like it or for some reason cannot reach the stop button. Please share this episode with a friend or family member or someone who likes FC Cincinnati. The best way for us to grow is from a personal recommendation from somebody who likes it. And if that's you, please tell other people. And if you don't have any friends, feel free to give us a review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. We'll take anything we can get. But again, a huge, huge thank you to everybody for listening to this show. I am blown away that anybody listens to this. So again, I well and truly mean this. Thank you so much for listening.